Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rich Madalino. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the Montgomery County Government. I'm sitting in today for County Executive Mark Elrich. As you may know, today is National Bacon Day, which, if you know Mark Elrich, know that that's a holy day of obligation for him. So, as the county's premier bacon lover. He is on vacation, and so I am filling in for him today as we have our last media briefing of the year. I want to start off today by saying not only happy holidays to everybody, but happy holidays and a thank you to every one of our 10,000 Montgomery County employees. We have been hard at work even through the holiday season as a local government, a full service local government that provides a range of public safety to our community. Of course, we don't stop any minute of any day. We have people out working, whether it's on the streets with our police department responding to emergencies, with our fire department keeping the community safe by keeping our courthouse and jail system working, with our sheriff's department and our Department of Correction and Rehabilitation. We are working each and every day, including our Department of Health and Human Services, which has people out and about every day responding to the needs of our community. So even though many people across our community might be taking a few days of much deserved rest, we as an organization are not, because we have a lot of responsibilities. And certainly on holidays, we can be even busier. We know that during the holidays, when people, many people in our community decide to put up a very flammable tree in the middle of their living room, we can have risks from fire. And especially as Christmas is over and people may have started to ignore the tree, they cannot ignore the risk. And we're going to have Assistant Chief Chase Fabrizio on to talk a little bit about fire safety and other ways that you can keep yourself safe and your home safe during the holiday season, especially by keeping trees watered so that they are not fire hazards. And of course, we have from our Montgomery County Police Department Assistant Chief Dave McBain. Assistant Chief McBain leads the bureau that deals with traffic safety, and he's going to talk about both our quite successful holiday safety initiative throughout the county, whether it's been on traffic or on theft prevention. And of course, as we go into New Year's Eve, which happens to be, I think, the third most dangerous holiday to be on the road, behind only the 4th of July and Thanksgiving, we want to make sure the community knows what safety precautions they need to take, and remind people of driving safe on New Year's Eve and what the police department is going to be doing to make sure we keep people who should not be behind the wheel off the roads during New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So, I'm going to throw it off to Assistant Chief Dave McBain to talk a little bit about the success that we've had and his unit has had during fighting drunk driving during the month of December. So, Chief McBain, thank you. First, thank you for the work you do every day. Thank you for the work that you and your colleagues do every day and the special attention that was focused during the holiday season. So, Dave, off to you.
All right, Mr. Madalino, thank you very much for inviting me today to talk about this. And good afternoon to everybody. So what I wanted to do is just to focus on, as Mr. Madalino was saying, our efforts moving through the holiday season, which will continue into about the second week of January. But just around Thanksgiving, we began our holiday task force. That's something we've been doing for many, many years. And the Holiday Task Force is a group of officers brought together with a focus on DUI enforcement, making our roadways safer, and working towards our Vision Zero goals. And this is one very effective tool that we use. The Holiday Task Force is comprised of not only Montgomery County police officers, but Maryland State Police, Maryland Transportation Authority, Montgomery County Sheriffs, Rockville City, Gaithersburg City, Tacoma Park Police Departments, as well as our Park Police, Maryland Park Police. And through an 8-week period of time, these officers come together 4 nights a week, focusing the latter part of the week into the weekends, again, for DUI enforcement. I wanted to talk about the numbers for week 6, and then I just want to give just an overview of the first 6 weeks of the task force with 2 weeks remaining. So in this past week, our week 6, we arrested 24 DUIs in Montgomery County. That was, we conducted 253 traffic stops and encountered 24 individuals that we arrested for DUI. That was a good week, and that's been kind of the average that we've been looking at throughout this the task force. And to go into the overall numbers, in the first 6 weeks of the task force, we've arrested 147 DUIs. We've conducted 1,300 traffic stops. And in addition to the DUIs, we've made several other arrests for other alcohol violations, and we've had a couple traffic stops resulting in the seizure of firearms. So we've had a lot of success with this program, and I look to see that we're going to have a good end. And when I say a good end, it's never good to see a lot of DUI arrests, but it is good to see our men and women out there, holding people accountable, making our roadways safer. And so you'll see that for the next 2 weeks. And then we kind of go back into a normal pattern of operation. And what's interesting, or what should be noted, is in addition to the holiday task force, we also have our other complement of officers from all of our 6 district stations that do traffic enforcement and DUI enforcement all the time. So the 147 I talked about is specific to the holiday task force, but we have much higher numbers from our other 6 district stations. So moving into January, into 2026, I just want to focus just a couple things that we're going to do in the first few months. But in January, we're obviously going to be focusing on finishing up our holiday task force. And then as we move into February, a next big day for us is actually Super Bowl Sunday, where we have extra resources out there. And the message from Vision Zero and from the police department is fans don't let other fans drive drunk. So we're gonna stick with that message, and we're gonna see an uptick in officers out on the roads during the Super Bowl. And then equally as important, when we get into March, the first week of March, we're going to focus a lot of our efforts into pedestrian and bicycle safety. And as you know, Montgomery County is, well over 1 million people. They move through this county each and every day, and it's our job to help, pedestrians, bicyclists, scooter riders, and vehicles to navigate through the county safely. And so we're going to focus our efforts on the pedestrian safety and the bicycle safety. And then as we move through the entire year, you will see every month we will do some form of initiative that focuses on 5 of the things that are hurting or killing people in Montgomery County as traffic safety. And that's going to be DUI, pedestrian safety, distracted driving, aggressive driving, and seatbelt safety. So that's it from Montgomery County Police Department for right now, and very happy with where we're heading into 2026.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's funny you brought up the Super Bowl. I'm wearing purple today to try to show some good luck to the Ravens. Earlier in the season, Tom Fitzgerald might appreciate this. When we were starting back in September, I thought, this would be the year of a Baltimore-Washington Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, and that would make things for, wild time on the streets throughout the state of Maryland. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, only one half of that equation is even still alive as we go into the last week. So, so now we're going to turn over to the fire department and hear from Assistant Chief Chase Fabrizio about fire safety, and to remind people about fire safety. Again, we've got more than 200 firefighters who are working each and every minute of every day across the county. They are providing life-saving services, responding to accidents, responding to fires. Over the last several days, we fought fires associated with Christmas trees. We fought fires associated with an air fryer overheating or catching on fire. We've even had a downed tree hit a mobile home, trapping some people in the home. And of course, fire and rescue and the police responded to a barricade situation last night in the Damascus area. So we are always working in the Montgomery County government. So Chase, tell us a little bit about fire safety as we close out the 2025.
Well, Mr. Madaleno, thank you for having us. To everybody, happy holidays and a early happy new year. As Chief McBain noted, this is a very busy time of year for public safety. We have a lot of people that are traveling. We have a lot of people that are distracted from their normal activities, and that leads sometimes down into dangerous situations. This time of year with our temperatures, we do run into issues where we see fires occurring due to space heaters and not giving those space heaters enough space. Combustible debris, or not necessarily debris, but furnishings around those space heaters. The other issue we see is fireplace ashes being disposed of improperly. People will think, hey, the fire was extinguished 5 hours ago, not realizing their ashes are still hot, and put them in a combustible container on their back deck. And then several hours later, we unfortunately are responding to a house fire. The other thing that we also find, which throughout the year is an issue, are one of our leading causes of fires, as Mr. Madaleno noted, unattended cooking fires. And we're all distracted this time of year, hosting friends, family, traveling around. We need to pay attention and stay focused on our tasks at hand. And then as we also lead into with the holiday season with the Christmas trees, unfortunately, Christmas Day, we had a significant fire that was due to a Christmas tree and some wiring issues with that. People forget that fires expand and grow very quickly. They develop and overwhelm homeowners and residents. We had an issue last night where a resident was trying to fight a fire by themselves and didn't call 911 right away, and that expanded out. And same thing happened on Christmas Day. They noticed the fire. They were trying to fight the fire themselves and quickly became overwhelmed. Our message to our community is, if you notice a fire, you notice emergency, back away immediately and call 911. Time is not on your side. These fires grow and develop so quickly that they overwhelm us. So we ask for your support with that, is exit the structure quickly. When you're driving around, as Chief McBain noted, traffic collisions are usually one of our target hazards this time of year. Again, stay focused, pay attention, and try to take care of each other. Have a little more patience on the road as you're navigating the restaurants, if you're navigating the malls, and so on. So again, space heaters need space. Our fireplaces, those ashes need to be disposed of correctly in a non-combustible container and remove them from the structure. And again, water those Christmas trees if you have them up. Each day past the holiday season, those Christmas trees, even though you're watering them, still become a higher risk. They just dry out no matter how much water we give them. So please, when you're finished with your holiday decorations, please remove those and dispose of them appropriately. We are here 24/7 to serve the community. It's our pleasure. We also notice this time of year, with everybody indoors, we not only respond to fires, we also take people to the hospital. We see increases of illnesses and whatnot. Please do your bit to do what you can to wash hands and stay in well-ventilated areas. And if you're not feeling well, work with your doctors and be careful using the emergency room so we don't overload them. So thank you again for having us. Happy holidays and early Happy New Year to everybody.
So again, thank you to both of you and all of your colleagues and all of the people who are going to be working full time throughout the holiday season, have been, will continue on New Year's Day. And those not only include fire and rescue service personnel, the police department, again, corrections, the jail is always open, the courthouse with sheriffs, our Department of Transportation, which is always out and about, whether driving the ride-on buses or making sure roads are safe. And of course, our Department of Health and Human Services, and probably many more who I'm leaving out. But we provide 24/7 service to the residents, visitors, businesses in Montgomery County. We're proud of it. We do a great job, and two of the best people in the county in making sure that effort, Assistant Chief Fabrizio, Assistant Chief McBain. So Tom Fitzgerald from Channel 5 has been so patiently sitting there with his hand up. Hopefully he doesn't have an emergency he was trying to get through on. But Tom, what's your question?
Happy New Year to everybody, and thank you for doing these media briefings throughout the year. They are a help to all of us in doing our work. I had a question for Assistant Chief McBain. In addition to the DUI work you're doing, Assistant Chief, there's been a federal threat assessment that's been issued by both the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, concluding that domestic extremist and violent actors could be a threat for New Year's Eve celebrations. Now, Montgomery County being the largest jurisdiction in Maryland, also adjacent to nation's capital, I was wondering if you could tell us anything about whether or not you're aware of this assessment threat, whether it impacts any of your plans for security on New Year's Eve and throughout the next couple of days.
Yeah. So regardless, during the New Year's Eve celebrations, we have an uptick in officers. We put a lot of resources on our roads and in our communities. Now, leading up to that, we're constantly monitoring not only social media, but because we're in the DMV, the Council of Governments, there's a lot of different groups that we work together regionally where we track any concerns. That's shared with our local partners, but it's also shared with our state and our federal partners as well. And quite frankly, we devote an entire unit that works on tracking these concerns and conveying them to our commanders on the roadway, to our duty commanders working at the night, and then clearly we get that information out to our officers. We do not have any known threats at this time. But I can tell you that not only do we track it, we're kind of always tracking what's going on in the region, but specific to what your question's about, we will remain in a posture of keeping track of what's going on in the area, what's going on in DC. And if something does occur in one of the other jurisdictions or in Montgomery, we have an incredible sharing apparatus to get the information out to our regional partners in order to knock things down and or mutually aid each other in the problems that might occur.
All right, well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Lionel Donovan, you have your hand up.
Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. One thing that I did want to ask a bit off topic from what you all are discussing right now. It's in regards to some numbers that that came out is showing that hundreds of children don't have secure housing. According to Montgomery County Public Schools. And I wanted to ask, I know the superintendent put out their budget recommendations for the next fiscal year. Given the amount of children that don't have secure housing, is the county thinking about providing the district even more resources to make sure that these children are served?
Well, thank you very much for that question. We're seeing those numbers too. I obviously during the Elrich administration, in our partnership with the county council, we have tried to provide substantial funds to the county school system, well above the state mandated maintenance of effort for several years now, to address the comprehensive needs, the multifaceted needs of our school population. We've got Dr. James Bridgers, the director of the Department of Health and Human Services, on on the call as well. I'll throw it over to him in a second, but it's important to note that in dealing with housing insecurity, this isn't just an issue for children in our school system. This is an issue that many households are having in the county, which is why this administration has worked so hard on a variety of things: preserving and protecting affordable housing, producing new affordable housing, passing rent stabilization to try to make it easier for families to maintain an affordable amount of rent within their budget. And of course, County Executive Elrich has demanded action on behalf of the county government to serve unhoused people or just people at risk of being unhoused. Certainly 2025 only saw an expansion of those programs that we're very proud of. So in some ways, it's helping those children through the school system. It's helping their families through a variety of efforts, whether it's within the Department of Housing and Community Affairs, whether it's in the Department of Health and Human Services, or a variety of other partners across the community, whether it's nonprofits, municipalities, the state government, in trying to make sure we continue to tackle this issue. So with that, I'll toss it to Dr. Bridgers.
Thank you, Mr. Madaleno. You actually summed it up very nicely. The only thing that I will add is the county executive support and his ongoing support to our short-term housing resolution program, better known as SHARP. We continue to look at families as a target practice to ensure that we don't have the instances, Lionel, that you may have read, or the numbers that you see working with our MCP as partners. We've worked very closely. Our chief of our services to prevent homelessness, Ms. Christine Hung, continues to be on conversations. Her deputy, Ms. Diana Bernhard Pena, is on as well, who may want to add to the conversation. But as Mr. Madaleno has said, the county executive has put a lot of time and effort and resources working through and with the Department of Health and Human Services to ensure that we have better outcomes in the community, especially for our homeless and transient population. Just looking at the data over the past couple of years, our point in time count, which will occur again next month in January. I invite you to join us in supporting that. But we have a lot of work to do, and we continue to focus on prioritizing folks not being in shelters, but looking at some permanent supportive housing, especially for not only the families, but those children who are part of that family structure. Diana, if you want to add to it, please share your additional insight.
Thank you, Dr. Bridgers, and I think you both summarized it really well. I will add that there's one new program that is being funded by the state that is specific to children who are experiencing homelessness and are enrolled in a community school, like an elementary school or a middle school, high school, and they are now eligible for rapid rehousing services. And one of our nonprofits has been granted that award, and we're working closely with them to house folks that are currently staying in our hotel through their rapid rehousing program.
And Lionel, if you don't know, community school is a designation that the state provides to certain schools based upon the socioeconomic status of the students within the school. So not every school in Montgomery County is a community school, but there are dozens of them across the county. And this new state program, as Diana was saying, is aimed at providing those additional services in community schools across the state.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering this. I really appreciate it.
Okay, now Chaley from Bethesda today has her hand up, and Chaley, as a Howard County native, I'm sure was wrestling with that Commanders-Ravens tension going into the season.
Yeah, no, and I'm definitely from Ravens territory, but I know a lot of Commanders fans. So, but yeah, so I was going to ask a question. I'm going to an event later today that has to do with the White's Ferry. It's been approximately 5 years at this point since it's been closed. So I just wanted to see if you could give kind of an update on where things stand on the county executive side with resolving that dispute.
Sure. The county executive has worked with our partners at the county council and the state and the state in order to secure funding. We have $3 million set aside, half 1.5 in county funds, 1.5 in state funds, thanks to a proposal by Governor Moore, in order to provide funding to get the ferry reopened. We would love to have White's Ferry reopened. It's a critical link between Poolesville, the county, and Loudoun County and the Leesburg area. So we would love to see it reopen. You know, unfortunately, our efforts at our powers, like of eminent domain, do not extend into the state of Virginia. So, you know, while the offer from the 1860s, I'm sure is still on the table for Loudoun County to join Maryland, they haven't decided to do that just yet. So we can't just buy property in Loudoun County. We need someone to step up and do that. Our partnership with the state and, of course, the Commonwealth rules are quite different. So maybe with a new administration in Richmond with Governor Spanberger, we will be able to see a change in the approach from the Virginia Department of Transportation, which hadn't seen it as a priority under the current administration. So maybe that will change. And we are ready to help out again with that $3 million to get the ferry back in the water and cars back running as soon as possible. There are some challenges, I know, on the Virginia side as a result of it being closed for so long. But we are ready to help out, and the county executive would love to see the ferry up and running. And I, for one, I love telling people this story. I discovered in doing some ancestry work that I had a relative who was part of a Pennsylvania regiment that actually was assigned to seize the ferries during the Civil War. So as I've told lots of my colleagues, you know, one member of my family seized a ferry already. I'm happy to try to do it again. So if that's what it takes to get it operating. So Suzanne Pollock has her hand up. And we're going to cover some details about some other issues too. I should have been, I didn't clarify that, you know, here's great questions for the assistant chiefs, but if you have something else you want to talk about, Suzanne, go ahead.
This is something else, but also let me know when you take over the ferry with your family. I'd like to be there to watch that.
All right. Well, I have a Revolutionary War costume I've been wearing for our 250th anniversary. I don't quite have the Civil War reenactor, but if you and I want to go out there together, try to push the ferry back in the water, happy to do it.
On another note, I was just wondering if the county expects to have better good relations in Annapolis now that Delegate Wilkins is the and David Moon, they all have very high appointed to good positions, because several local delegates or committee chairs. Does that change anything from Montgomery County?
Well, thank you, Suzanne, for bringing that up, because that was one of the things I was going to cover, because the General Assembly session does start on January 14th this year. It's the latest it can start, the second Wednesday of the month. So we are excited by the opportunities that new Speaker Jocelyn Pena-Milnick has provided us. You know, with the announcement that came out, I think just yesterday or early today, as you pointed out, Delegate Moon is going to stay as the majority leader. Delegate Janelle Wilkins from District 20, Tacoma Park Silver Spring, is going to be chair of the Ways and Means Committee. She had been vice chair. Delegate Mark Corman from District 16, Bethesda, Potomac, is going to continue as chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee. Delegate Ann Kaiser, District 14, which stands from Burtonsville to Damascus along the Howard County border, is going to be the vice chair of the Appropriations Committee. Delegate Lorg Charkoudian, also from District 20. So it's a District 20 hat trick between Delegate Moon, Delegate Charkoudian, and Delegate Wilkins. She is going to be vice chair of the Economic Matters Committee. And Delegate Bonnie Cullison from District 19, which spans from Silver Spring to Olney, including Leisure World, is going to be vice chair of the Health Committee. So a number of delegates taking on great leadership roles. The county executive is very excited to work with the new speaker. He had a great relationship with Adrienne Jones and was greatly appreciative of all of her work, not just over the last several years as speaker, but her years of support for the county as chair of the capital budget subcommittee and speaker pro tem. So we have had a great relationship with the General Assembly in general, and especially with the House, but again, with Delegate Wilkins in this critical role as Ways and Means Committee Chairman, Delegate Corman continuing on environment and transportation, the other delegates in senior leadership positions. No delegation has as many senior leadership positions as Montgomery County. We're the largest delegation, and I think the county executive is very excited about this opportunity to work with these outstanding legislators to get even more things done during the 2026 General Assembly session.
Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm going to move on to some other issues. Tomorrow, December 31st, I know probably all of you on this call know this, but is the 250th anniversary of the death of General Richard Montgomery, the namesake of our county. He was trying to liberate Quebec City during the Revolutionary War. He had been leading an attempt to liberate Canada with a small force and in partnership with actually General Benedict Arnold. He was attempting to take Quebec City. He had successfully taken Montreal and had moved up the St. Lawrence and joined forces with Benedict Arnold, who had brought a force through Maine to link up and try to seize Quebec while the St. Lawrence River was frozen and the British could not reinforce Quebec. So interestingly, how some things never change. Most of the men under his command had a contract that was set to expire at midnight on December 31st. So he was forced to push forward and try to seize Quebec in the middle of a snowstorm. And unfortunately for him, it did not turn out well, as his plans for the attack on the city had been betrayed to the British, not by Benedict Arnold this time, but by someone else. And they were ready for the attack on New Year's Eve, and he was shot and killed leading that effort. So he became the first martyr of the American Revolution and is the namesake of 17 different counties across the county. We're the first, but 17 different counties and the city of Montgomery, Alabama. So they're all named for General Richard Montgomery. Our 250th anniversary as a county will be September 6th this year. So the nation on July 4th and the county on September 6th, which marks the anniversary of the day that the Maryland General Assembly carved out Montgomery County from what had previously been parts of Frederick County and Prince George's County to create Montgomery County, which at that point even included what's now the Georgetown neighborhood of the district. Before the District of Columbia was carved out of Montgomery and Prince George's counties. So anyway, a little history, but it's an important anniversary tomorrow, the 250th anniversary of the death of Richard Montgomery. So January 1st also not only is New Year's, it's the beginning of a set of new laws that will be going into effect across the state of Maryland and within Montgomery County. Of course, the county's new bag law will go into effect, which means most stores will have to stop using plastic bags. We will be switching to paper bags. What has been a 5-cent fee is going to go up to 10 cents for getting a bag in a store, with 5 cents going back to the retailer to pay for the bags and 5 cents continuing to go to the county's water quality protection charge. Of course, you can avoid the 10-cent fee by bringing in your own bags, and we encourage people to do so. Of course, plastic bags have been a huge problem with pollution, especially in our waterways, impacting our sewer system, stormwater system, the Potomac River and the Chesapeake Bay. So that's why it's so important to stop using plastic bags and just start using reusable bags or just not use bags, as I've tried to do. You can learn more about our new law at montgomerycountymd.gov/bag to find out more. Across the state, a number of new laws that are going into effect require hairdressers to report signs of domestic abuse, to help Uber and Lyft drivers track their earnings better. Of course, Assistant Chief Fabrizio is still on. And while we have long tried to deal with preventive cancer screenings for our firefighters, this new law requires counties to pay for preventative cancer screenings across the state. We've made it easier. The state is making it easier for children in need of specialized care. The state is requiring insurers to pay for tests to have an early diagnosis of heart disease for all people on insurance, and new protections for heirs living in family homes from excessive tax bills. So lots of new state laws going into effect on January 1st. Many of your publications and stations are talking about them. And again, New Year's often brings New Year's resolutions. We are here to help as a county. Free access to our rec centers continues, especially in our gyms. So if you want to make a resolution about using gyms and you're worried about the cost, free access for Montgomery County residents to use our gyms. We have zero free buses, zero fare buses, so free buses. Your New Year's resolution might be to drive less, use public transportation. Well, you can get there on ride-on free of charge. Of course, maybe your resolution is to read more. We do not have fees and fines for late materials at our libraries. We offer lots of free classes across our libraries and our rec centers for people. So you're looking for a New Year's resolution and you want to keep it cheap, you want to keep it free. We are here to help as a full service government. Unfortunately, the free access does not extend to aquatic centers where you continue to have to pay either a regular membership fee or one-time fee. Again, quite affordable, but not free like the other parts of a rec center. So if you're interested in some of the services from the Department of Recreation, you can always go to Active Montgomery. You can go to our website, look it up, and sign up for classes. And then, of course, look for on our website lots of information about our public library system and what services you can access. So as the new year begins, again, the General Assembly session starts on Wednesday, January 14th. The county executive will release his new 6-year capital budget on Thursday, January 15th. His operating budget will be released on Monday, March 16th. The council then will review the capital budget, the operating budget. It has to be adopted by the Thursday before Memorial Day, so the end of the month of May. And then for our region, for our nation, for the World Cup begins on June 11th. Lots of different elections occur across the state this year. Primaries are on June 23rd. Our fiscal year begins on July 1st. And then, of course, we'll be celebrating the 250th anniversary again of the country on July 4th and the 250th anniversary of the original Montgomery County on September 6th. So just some of the things to look forward to over the next several months as we go into 2026. Any other questions that are out there? I've given so many history lessons today that I don't know if people want to talk about the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, or anything else. Judith.
Hello.
Hello.
And I want to thank you for the purple that you're wearing because I did grow up in Baltimore, so clearly I am a Ravens fan. So thank you, Rich.
No problem. I mean, I'd be rooting for the Ravens anyway, but against Pittsburgh, it's like a double.
It's a no-brainer.
Oh, God.
I hear you. Um, I wanted to ask about the libraries and the new schedules coming up. I've heard from a lot of my readers that they are a little concerned, especially from a lot of people in Aspen Hill who say they use the library all the time on Sundays and they're very disappointed. And the press release that came out said that it will allow the libraries that are open to have enhanced programming and things like that. But what's the real reason? Is it a budgetary thing? Is it a numbers thing?
Well,
Are those libraries that are closed now on Sundays, were they not really being used well on Sundays?
we are a data-driven organization in many ways. We track the number of people who enter a library every day. We enter we track the computer usage. We track the borrowing patterns, and Sundays have just been the by far least busiest day of the week, and especially in the smaller community libraries, which is why we decided to keep the large regional libraries open 7 days a week, but to not to then close the smaller libraries on Sundays, and that way by being able to focus additional staff in the regional libraries, we can have more programming. As you mentioned, we can have kids programming. We can do things that the community has wanted, and just not be able to do it across every library. You know, there was a time when before the pandemic, we didn't have the libraries open like this on Sundays. We tried after the pandemic to go to the full schedule to have every library open every day of the week and to see what the impact would be. And the usage just hasn't been there in order to require that level of facilities to be open, which is why our library director, Darcel Graham, proposed to the county executive the idea of, hey, let's refocus our services, let's have more services available on Sundays, but in the libraries that have the highest usage on Sundays. So my colleague, Louisa Cardona, who's the Assistant Chief Administrative Officer who's responsible for the library, she turned on her camera too. I don't know if Louisa, you have something to add that I missed.
No, you said it very succinctly that it was certainly a data-driven decision where it was very cognizant that the library director focused on services that we are able to provide to the community and making sure that those services were comprehensive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So one thing that I failed to say earlier, and again, as we close out this briefing, unless anyone has any other questions, December 10th this year was the 10th anniversary of the death of Montgomery County Police Officer Noah Liotta. So Officer Liotta had died in the line of duty while actually working a detail on fighting drunk driving, and was killed by a drunk driver. So it's one of the reasons why the Montgomery County Police Department, our entire organization, take driving safely and driving sober so seriously, because we have seen the impact on the police department, on this one family, and there were 2 people's lives who were destroyed that night, and how much we do not want that to happen again, which is why we had Chief McBain on to talk a little bit about what the police department is doing. And certainly whether it's Chief McBain and his colleagues or Chief Fabrizio and his colleagues, the Montgomery County Police Department, the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service does not want to be out tonight, tomorrow night, any night, dealing with drunk drivers, dealing with the impacts of drunk driving accidents. And so driving sober, safe, making a plan for a designated driver, how you're going to get home using Sober Ride, whatever. This is so important every night, but especially on New Year's Eve, which again is the third most deadliest night of the year on roads nationwide. So I don't see any hands up. So with that, again, go Ravens. And Lionel put his hand up. Now maybe he's going to, speak up about the Steelers. I don't know if
Oh,
the
absolutely
press
not.
needs to
No,
be
no.
balanced. I don't know.
No, absolutely not. I just want a point of clarification for Montgomery County Police. When are you all going to start having more officers on the roads, or has that already started for the New Year holiday?
Yeah, for the New Year holiday, we start ramping up on New Year's Eve, and we will have officers out there New Year's Eve, New Year's Day night. But basically,
Okay.
we're focused on the festivities of the New Year.
Gosh, it's around tomorrow afternoon, noonish kind of
Yes.
thing. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
those-
so much.
And most of those officers will remain working usually till at least 4 o'clock in the morning, and we always make the decision of holding them over, depending on calls for service.
So
Yeah,
while I
thank you.
called on Dr. Bridgers before, I realized I didn't give him a chance if there's anything he needs to add from the HHS perspective. And of course, we have our Deputy Health Officer, Sean O'Donnell, on the call to talk about any public health issues. And of course, to remind the community that he is Montgomery County's premier Buffalo Bills fan. So if you're looking for someone who still might be dealing with the repercussions of a shocking end to a football game, we had to make sure Dr. Stoddard wasn't on the call today as an Eagles fan. It would have just been, too much of a conflict between Sean and Earl this week. So
Go
Sean,
Birds.
Dr. Bridgers.
Thank you, CAO Madalino. Just a couple of numbers just to share as a reminder. We talked about our homeless and transient population earlier, but it's going to be cold the rest of the week. And we have a homeless information resource line. Wanted to share that with all of our viewers. Again, if they see someone who may be displaced or transient or homeless in the community this week or going into the new year, that number is 240-907-2688. And help continues to be within reach for individuals who may have or may continue to experience mental health challenges or concerns this year and going into the new year. That number to our crises helpline is 240-777-4000 and 988 for individuals who may need crisis support. Wanted to share that with all of our viewers and listeners this afternoon before I toss it over to Sean O'Donnell for his public health update. Sean, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Bridgers. Continuing what we've shared in recent weeks, we're seeing our respiratory diseases get to seasonal high points. We are, in fact, as far as outpatient visits, our emergency departments are as busy as they've been since this time last year. They're about 50% busier than they were for most of the fall. So expect wait times if you're going to the emergency department. We're asking people to try to limit, if they're sick, limit contact with other folks. Most of this is influenza, although we're seeing RSV continue to go up, and we're starting to see COVID go up a little bit. But our influenza census at the emergency department is at its highest level since 2017. So those are, and it's climbing. Those haven't become inpatients yet. The statewide inpatients has about doubled for respiratory disease over the last 2 weeks, and we'll expect those to continue to go up. But this will likely start to impact our colleagues over in fire and rescue as increased calls for transport happen for serious illness. And again, it's already impacting our emergency department. So if you're not sick right now, you may know someone who is. We've shared with you before, follow precautions. If you have to go out or be around people and you have respiratory symptoms, you have a fever, you have a cough or sneezing, please wear a mask when you're around other people. Please wash your hands frequently and try to avoid our most vulnerable populations, which are both our seniors, our immunocompromised, and are very young. A lot of hospitalizations for infants right now with respiratory disease too. So that's all I wanted to say. We'll get through this season as we do every year, but we want to get through with as many healthy people as we can. Go Bills.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Just a reminder, today, the State Department of Assessments and Taxation will be releasing its latest reassessments. Group 2 across the state. Remember, 1/3 of properties are assessed every year for 3 years. So the areas that are most likely to have reassessments in Montgomery County include the areas from Four Corners up through Aspen Hill, Leisure World, Olney, going all the way up to Littonsville, and then of course parts of Bethesda, Chevy Chase Village, and then Glen Echo and out into Potomac. So for members of the press, that information will be coming out from the state. Just noticed an article in the Baltimore Sun. So those numbers are there. For Montgomery County, it shows a 12.6% increase in residential properties and 11% increase in commercial properties. So, late breaking news available now. With that, again, Happy New Year. Go Ravens. Happy anniversary, Montgomery County. And we will see you all in 2026. Thank you, everybody.
Fund, we've already received feedback that with half of the funds, people have been employed, new jobs have occurred, and people are progressing their